Hey guys, it's me Jenny and it's time for another comic commentary. Again, I'm on the low definition so I can quickly upload. And this is going to actually be a relatively brief video because there wasn't actually that many comments from this last week, possibly because you're all traumatized by the shock of all having all my videos uploaded in about one setting. So just in no particular order, I'm just going to quickly go through some of the comments. I've just replied to them. A lot of them I've kind of managed to say what I wanted to say in typing, but I will go through them as well on this video for your pleasure. So on my random Age of Ultron vlog, I got a couple of quite impressive essays actually. Baxon commented on some of the fan servicey stuff and was confused about why there was so much drama about Black Widow being called a slut by several of the cast members. And as I've said in the comment, the actual interview, I have actually watched that interview back, and the interviewer says something along the lines of fans have been shipping Black Widow with several of the Avengers, and she's been flirting with kind of all of them over the course of the several movies that she's been in, and people were a bit, surprised for her actually ending up with Bruce Banner after she'd had such great chemistry, specifically, for example, in The Winter Soldier with Captain America, and she has very intense chemistry with how it's hinted that there's love is for children, blah blah blah, between her and Hawkeye. So clearly in those films it's set up that there could be that romantic entanglement, and then in the Avengers part 2 it's confirmed that she's actually in a relationship with Bruce Banner. So that's where the comment was coming from. It was about her character being a bit of a flirt, perhaps, or just the fact that movie conventions dictate that the female of the film should have a romantic thing with a male of that film. So given that she has been the token female for several other films where there has been a male lead, she has been that token female love interest for said lead, despite the fact that she doesn't actually have any relationship of an intimate nature until this film. So that's the reason why the comment came out. So it's kind of an interesting comment on the role of a female in those sort of films, but obviously she's not actually a slut because she only actually has that intimate relationship with one guy, and that is in this film. So the comments are it was made in jest, but I understand the frustration of a lot of highly passionate feminists. I can understand the criticism that's there. I don't think it's ever really acceptable to call a woman a slut, but there you go. I'm not going to get angry about it. It's just one of those things that was said in jest, and honestly, if it had been said about me flirting with several people, then sure, whatever. It's just one of those things, but I don't think it's the best thing, but it's not the end of the world. It's not the worst spike to feminism in the end. I think it's an interesting commentary on the roles of token females in these sort of bro-based films. Mark really liked this movie, but has never seen the movie twice. So that's at least never in the cinema. So that's each their own. I've only ever really done it with the Avengers. The first Avengers was I actually ended up seeing 3 times. But there you go. Nathan Lyle wrote an incredibly long essay about all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and why the Avengers had to get together in order to find Loki's stuff at the beginning of the film. There is a lot of things that I only have watched the last episode before the Age of Ultron movie came out, so I think a lot of the plot points in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series hasn't quite caught up with the Avengers Age of Ultron plot. But I do know that there's a lot of Easter eggs that will be coming up in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series, which hint at uncovering some of the plot holes in Age of Ultron. Specifically, the one that has been mentioned that will be explained in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is where Nick Fury managed to recover the giant, what's it called, hovercraft, the holodeck, the holo thingy, mud bob doodly, what's it? I'm tired. That's one of those ones that has been said that it will be explained how he managed to recover that in order to save the civilians at the end of Age of Ultron, and that's going to be explained apparently, but I haven't actually caught up on that yet. Moving on, gosh, that was longer than I wanted to spend on that one. On last week's extra long comic commentary, Mark talked about the woodchuck. How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could a woodchuck as much wood as a woodchuck could if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I do like that one. It's one of my favourite, along with Moses supposes his toes are roses, but Moses supposes erroneously. Moses he knows his toes aren't roses if he supposes his toes to be. A Moses is a rose. A rose is a rose. It's got to be a Moses because it rhymes with toes, etc., etc. Nathan Lyle worked out which song it was that I was dancing to. I misremembered the title. And what felt special for me replying to his comment in real time. There we go. Moving on. On to my naked truth on bath time and relaxing. Baxton says we need to get drunk at VidCon. I'm a bit nervous about that, but we'll see how it goes. I've promised that I need to try Long Island iced tea while I'm there, and we'll see how it goes. As I said, I am more hesitant about getting drunk in unfamiliar environments, and I've got to say, being in America for the first time, out of country, and with no friends traveling with me, it's definitely severely out of my comfort zone. So I will be drinking, but I will be drinking very, very cautiously and putting a lot of trust in my friends that I will be meeting there to look after me. If, for example, Long Island iced tea is slightly more potent than I thought it was. And Nathan says he's always been scared to read in the tub because he's a very clumsy person. It takes a lot of practice to learn how to read in the tub, in terms of books and stuff. Obviously, it's very, very useful to have a towel just on the left hand, for me, in the left hand side of the bath, just within reach, so you can dry your hands between. Like you can, move around, stir the water, add fresh water, add soap or whatever, and then dry your hands before picking up your book. And the thing is just to take regular breaks, put your book down, and also have a book that you don't care to damage too much. Like, obviously, I've got some relatively old books. I've got some books from, I've inherited from my grandma that I wouldn't read in the bath, because if I were to drop that in the bath, that's a lot of history ruined. Similarly, there's a lot of books that I just wouldn't really want to ruin. However, kind of the rule of thumb in my house is if you haven't broken the spine, you haven't really read the book, because a lot of, for example, my mum is very into, she buys the paperback, she reads it, and then she reads it again, and then, half a year down the line, she reads it again. Like the Didius Falco series, which is a series of really, really fantastic, kind of light-hearted crime novels set in Rome, which sounds like a really convoluted concept, but they're super entertaining, they're very romantic, they're very witty, they're very quick, they're very on the nose, slightly predictable in some places, but so is CSI, so who cares. But those books, she's bought second editions and third editions because she likes to reread them. So that sort of books, I don't mind. If you drop it in the bath, it's not the end of the world, because in 2 or 3 years you're going to be rebuying the edition, because books are there to be read. There's a saying in my family, which is well loved. If a teddy bear is well loved, it's probably got all its fur gone, and if a book is well loved, the spine is damaged or the pages are curled back. Like, I know, as a classy librarian, I should be worried about preserving the sanctity of books, but in the end, the sanctity of the story is more important. If you're really, really into the experience, you don't want to have to worry about reading through like a book like this so you don't damage the spine. No, get into it, read it, get into the whole thing. Like, I find that having a paper book is a very tactile experience, and not being worried about ruining the book for dropping it in the bath or something like that, I feel like you shouldn't live in fear of damaging a book when what happens is a psychological process. As I said, if it's a book that you're not going to be able to ever find again, then that's a whole other cup of tea. But if if you have the possibility of rebuying it, then it's not the end of the world. And it is a psychological experience rather than a physical experience. And having that tactile ability to touch the pages is lovely. But there you go. I'm rambling. I promised this would be a short episode, and it's not, because I am tired and rambly. Moving on to the comic commentary before that. Which I don't think I'd replied to because it hadn't come out when I did my last commentary. Mark said that he finished Daredevil and really enjoyed it. Can't wait for season 2. I'm really, really looking forward to it too. I'm really interested to see whether or not they introduce characters like Bullseye and Elektra, because I think there's ways that they could be done really, really badly, aka the that film. But I'd be interested to see how they fit into this world and whether or not they're going to go with particularly Elektra. They give a very, very different backstory in the film version to what her actual history is. She's, of Asian descent, as far as I'm aware, unless I've misread the source material. I think there are a lot of ways that they could do it really, really well. I'll be interested to see how that works out. And KSJ Hawker was not alarmed by the concept of 10 videos in a row, so thank you. The videos will be updating again, so bear with me. Baxhorn asked about my defaults for OBS. I'm still getting to grips with OBS. I'm not very good at it. That was on my Monday gaming video. On my election results video, KSJ Hawker said talking about political conversations is opening a can of worms. Oh yes, it is. It really, really is. But I felt like it needed to be talked about. If I hadn't talked about the politics of the election, I probably would have been in big trouble. But it was a difficult subject to broach, and I was very nervous about broaching it. Oh no, Figaro. I feel like, have you changed your name? Because you've got the same icon as someone else. I don't know. Anyway, if you're new, welcome. If you're old, hi. Who were you before? I'm very confused all of a sudden. Thought that we would get hung parliament. Yes, I was suspicious that we were going to have a much more mixed result than we did, but what can you do about it? You just have to live and learn. On my Cinderella's book thing, Nathan commented that I had a moment when I realised that the book was dedicated to my mum. The weird thing was that my grandma, as I said, lived right next to the author. So I met the author of that book several times over. He had the most massive mansion and giant grounds, and he was a very famous author. I suppose his most famous work was, I believe it's the oh gosh, I'm gonna have to Google it. One sec, real time. French Lieutenant's Woman. So his most famous work was The French Lieutenant's Woman, and I met him several times. I used to wander through his garden because, as neighbours, we were allowed to hop over the wall and then use his garden as a shortcut down to the beach. And it was one of those ones where, like, I hadn't really thought about the fact that he was the one that wrote that book, which is so ingrained as part of my childhood with the beautiful drawings and the story and the way that the ending is tied up with that little moral poem. I hadn't really thought about, how much that association suddenly brought back all the memories of visiting my grandma every month, and my memories of her, and we had a very mixed relationship, but just good childhood memories overall are good childhood memories, and just the whole, like, that house, and it's a very important time, really. In fact, my first ever official video. I have several first videos, but one of my first official videos is the jumping in the sea at Lyme Regis Bay. And that was in loving memory of my grandma to some extent, and just the whole that town and my relationship with my grandma and my relationship with my sisters at that time is all kind of bottled up into that thing, and just seeing that little dedication brought back all those memories. So yeah. Anyway, gosh golly, I'm rambly tonight. Finishing up on my Sunday crafts video, Baxon said that my dress looked very regal. Yes, it is definitely, the red muslin is definitely more of an evening gown. Ladies probably during the Regency time wouldn't have worn a dress quite that vividly red, unless they were either very, very vulgar, married, vulgar and married, or it was during the evening and they were quite well off. It is definitely a more evening dress. You wouldn't wear it during the day. But there you go. I'm sorry I rambled on for so long. I am very tired. It's been a long day. I'm going to go to bed, but thank you for watching, and I will see you guys all very soon. Bye, guys. I'm stalling for time while I find the stop button. Also, cat. That's my cat up here. She's sleepy. You gonna show your face? No, she's dead. Oh, she's completely asleep. Anyway, bye again.